There's a massive workforce shortage in construction, yet thousands of people are still searching for meaningful careers. So, what's missing? Today's episode is about bridging that gap. Whether you're a student, someone looking for a career change, a veteran, a returning citizen, or simply someone trying to build a better future, we're talking about where the opportunities are and how to actually get connected to them. Joining us today is Jason Walker, the National Engagement Manager for Building Talent Foundation, an organization working nationwide to connect people to career, training, internships, scholarships, and employers in residential construction. Construction can change your life, and it's starting to look more like you. Let's go. This is the Commercial Builders Network, where trust is restored, power is reclaimed, and legacy is built. Let's get to work. Well, hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of the Commercial Builders Network. My name is Tanisha Reed, and I'm your host. And today we have the amazing Jason Walker from Building Talent Foundation. We're going to dive into their programs and how they are having an impact in workforce development in the residential construction side. Whew, almost can get that out. How are you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on, Tanisha. This is fantastic. When we learned about your organization, and I became really excited about the opportunity to speak with you, and then to have this chance to talk to your viewership is just tremendous.
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to dive right in. Now, there is a lot of talk in construction about there being a labor shortage. Can you tell me about why is finding great talent hard right now in construction?
Well, yeah, it's we're about 500,000 people short for open positions within the construction area and skilled trades right now, and that number, it fluctuates a little bit for sure, but really what we're experiencing at the moment is a generational demographic shift, and that shift that's going on right now is that there is a population, the baby boomers, who we're all familiar with. And many of those folks are either in retirement age or are approaching retirement age. And some of us Gen Xers are sort of in that as well. So what that's creating is a situation where about 40%, in some estimations higher, upwards of 50% of the workforce in the skilled trades is slated to retire within the next 5 to 7 years. And that is a huge challenge and a huge problem that we are facing, that we're going to have to make some significant pivots if we're going to make up for that. And we need to, currently the replacement rate, so we're retiring 5 and we're bringing 2 people into the job market. So if that continues, we're going to be in a real crisis. And if you've ever had anybody come by your house to do your residence, to do any sort of work around that, your residence, you know that they probably got gray hair and they're looking forward to being on the beach sometime soon. So we have a narrow window to transfer all of this knowledge from this group of experts to a whole new group of people coming into the trades, and we can, keep everything moving forward smoothly.
Awesome. Awesome. So for somebody who isn't currently in the industry, can you explain what Building Talent Foundation actually does?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Building Talent Foundation, we are a nonprofit organization, a national nonprofit that was created about 6 years ago. And the funding for our organization came from the Leading Builders of America. So, this huge association of residential home builders that are responsible for over 50% of the new home construction that goes on within the United States. And so, they are a very influential group. They're also very aware of this challenge that we're facing, and they decided to do something creative. So in the creation of BTF, our objective is to create a resilient workforce, by 2030, that will be able to meet the needs of the country in construction and the skilled trades. So we do that really three primary ways. We do it by helping folks learn about the opportunities that for careers, meaningful careers in the skilled trades, help them decide what they want to do, get them connected to education. We're not personally the educators, but we help them find good quality education if that's what's needed, and then we help them get connected to employment within the industry.
Awesome. So, how do you find the people who are interested, or how do they find you?
Fantastic. Yeah. Um, so it can be very active in terms of the outreach that we do. Myself, my colleague, Rick Ellis in the Atlanta marketplace and across the country, actually, our engagement managers will go out to high schools, to schools with construction programs. We will go to community organizations and we will actively engage them and their populations and their constituents to help them learn about and know about the opportunities that exist in residential construction. And then we will invite them onto our platform. And on that platform, we have a Career Explorer module where they can learn about all of these different job opportunities that exist within the trades, many of which they probably don't have any idea about. Most people are familiar with plumbing and electrical, right? HVAC jobs, but you could be a glazier working with cutting and fitting glass, or a mason working with stone, or somebody that does a very, very niche one would be fire stopping, somebody that works with very, very specific engineered materials to reduce fire spread. So there are so many different things that people can do, and we can help them figure out what they want to do.
Awesome, awesome. So, the Building Talent Foundation, who was it created to serve?
Yeah, so it was created with the intent of serving underrepresented populations, so young people, women, returning citizens, veterans, et cetera. And a good example is with respect to women. There's in terms of the frontline the frontline population of skilled trades workers. Presently, it's less than 4% are female, and that is just
Mm,
astronomically low
yeah.
by anyone's standards.
Mhm.
And in my personal experience, I had worked at Habitat for Humanity where we ran an AmeriCorps program of 400, 500 people annually. And that program would put people out on location working in our affiliates involved in home building. In those situations, in that program, 40%, 30 to 40% of the people in those lead construction roles were female. So
Mm,
I know that there's interest. We just have to present it the right way and help people in terms of finding the opportunities to get into these roles.
awesome. What are the employers looking for beyond technical skills?
Oh gosh, yeah. So they're looking for ambition. They are looking for drive. They're looking for inquisitiveness. So people that are lifelong learners that are committed to learning. I was meeting with a class recently of HVAC students that were going to be graduating soon, and we were sort of asking them, what's your 30-second elevator pitch for who you are if you got to talk to a an owner of a company and you got to tell them all about yourself. And I said, are you a problem solver? Right? Are you somebody that enjoys and relishes that opportunity to figure things out? And so, they're really looking for that, but they're also looking for good team players, people that have the ability to interact well with the other members of their organization, and then people that have a commitment to customer service as well.
Why is it important that we expose the youth to these opportunities and to construction a lot earlier? Because at one point we had shop in the high schools, and now
Yeah.
it's like I feel like that's a huge reason why there's a huge gap in the workforce because that was removed from the schools. So
You
why?
got it. You got it. We've spent the last 50 years, and you and I both know this. eh, They used to have shop. We've spent the last 50 years just focused on pushing people into college institutions and to knowledge-based roles, and that is to the detriment of this country. It's to the detriment of the young people as well that have that proclivity and that interest that
Mhm.
they have not been given this opportunity. And the sad reality is that so many young people go immediately from high school and jump directly into college where they have to take huge loans that you cannot get out from under. This is not like a car or a home that you can sell that
Yeah.
and you're out from under that debt. But when you take on that debt is yours. And you're not necessarily getting a degree that's going to guarantee you a job that will
Mm-mm.
earn you money.
You better preach.
Sadly, so many folks, they don't even graduate, right? So now you've taken on this debt and you've not even come out with a piece of paper that you can show that you accomplished that aspect. So it's critically important that we give these individuals this opportunity to know about all of these jobs where you can have meaningful careers. And those meaningful careers can, build the things for your life that you want. And you don't have to go to a 4-year college to do that and take on, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm about 130 in myself. And, I'm a
Exactly.
podcaster now.
Exactly. Yep.
But coincidentally, my undergrad degree was actually film, and I
Yeah.
have a business degree. But most of us go through, and that's part of the reason why my passion is so deep behind it. I didn't have an offer as soon as I graduated, unfortunately, but yet
Mhm.
all that debt was still tied to me, and it's to this
Got it.
day. So you make a fantastic point. Is there any partnerships, mentorship, internships, scholarships? What are any educational support that these new people into the industry can expect going through your program?
Was big news. There's big news as of July 1st. This is absolutely massive. So Pell Grants, which had previously not been able to be used for the trades, are now eligible to be used for training programs as short as 8 to 15 weeks in length. That is massive. And so going through
Mm.
the federal student aid program, you can gain access to these Pell Grants and then get the funds to be able to get the training that will get you immediately into a job that is paying money, and that can grow you a meaningful career. So that's the biggest one. Now, through our organization, we're exploring these all the time. We also have institutional donor relationships, and those institutional donors are funding programs that will either completely eliminate or defer or reduce the cost of some construction-related training programs. So things like Construction Ready, Project Build are examples of that. And we hope that we'll be able to continue to grow those and be influential in helping to spread the word about that.
Awesome. So one of the biggest things with your organization is connecting employers with talent and vice versa. What does that process look like?
So as far as starting out, if you're somebody that is interested in exploring the trades, maybe you know what you want to do, or maybe you don't. You can get started by joining our platform, which is JobsToBuild. It's part of the major investment that our donors have made in us. That this is a trades-specific job board and talent development platform that is completely free for everyone to utilize, whether that is your student, your institute, your educational institution, or your employer. We think of ourselves as a utility. We're like the electric company, right? We're just trying to connect it all up and make sure everybody's talking and everybody has the opportunity to know what the other needs in order to get people into these roles at the end of the line. So first things first, we want to get you on the platform because that'll immediately give you access to not only myself, my colleague Rick Ellis here in the Atlanta area, and the rest of our EMs around the country, but you also get, if you're a career explorer, access to this career explorer module, which has over 44 different career paths that you can explore. Learn about the skills that are critical to that, the education that's helpful to that path, and the compensation that you can expect if you go down that pathway. So you kind of know if the juice is worth the squeeze, so to speak, right?
Mhm.
And then if you're looking for employment immediately, then there's jobs that are on the platform, employers that are looking to hire right now. Some of those will, require, previous experience and previous education, but there are most definitely opportunities, entry-level roles for construction laborer type roles, helper type roles where you're working under the tutelage of someone, or in a structured apprenticeship type program.
Awesome. So I know you just dived into the apprenticeship program part. Tell
Yeah.
me more about the earn and learn and how that
Yeah.
changes the ability to be able to get into the industry and thrive.
Yeah. So this, the apprenticeship model is a program. It's a pathway that is, hundreds, if not thousands of years old. This was, forged in Europe and still exists. Like, Germany has a very, very structured apprenticeship program there, and it's equivalent. It's on par with the university system. And so what we're looking to do, and what a lot of organizations are looking to do now, is to help to foster more of these apprenticeship type programs. It's a very structured system of training that is under an organization where a person comes in and they are learning how to do the job, and they're being paid while they're doing that. Now, obviously, if the company is expending resources and time and effort to, get this person trained, then there's going to be some degree of compromise that's going to be there around either the compensation and, what your commitment is to that organization once you complete the training. But these are things where, obviously that's an ideal world where you can learn a skilled trade and be paid while you're doing it.
That's what I love the most about this industry of be able to earn and learn without having to necessarily have the debt that's attached to it.
Yeah.
Is the
Yep.
biggest thing. And if there is, it's minimal compared to college, but you actually have a guaranteed career path that's always in demand. It
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting why this wasn't the focus in the beginning.
It is. And, if you're an employer out there that either has a program and you are looking for a steady flow of genuinely interested people, then I would encourage you to join our platform, our Jobs to Build platform. Or if you're an employer that is interested in creating your own apprenticeship program, we can provide you guidance on how to do that and take advantage of, any government programs.
Awesome, and that's something that is dear to me. I was actually gonna ask that. Does that is it okay if they're considered a small business
Yeah,
wanting to do
absolutely.
that?
And some of those, the way that those government programs are set up, incentives are set up, they can really highly benefit smaller employers.
Now, what would you say is the smallest that they would help
Well,
businesses?
that's tough. That's tough to say. I mean, and certainly you're probably going to have some level of structure in place. If you're just, a single person, business owner, there's probably some degree of growth that you're going to need to achieve before it makes sense to
Okay,
invest the resources into a program like this. Obviously, you need to have some resources at your disposal.
awesome. For a long-term career growth, what does that look like for somebody who's entry level in the position?
So thinking in terms of, of like, let's say, for example, a person within HVAC or
Yes,
something along that.
exactly.
Well, the great thing about the trades is whatever trade you choose, the more that you invest in yourself and you invest in your training, the greater the proficiency that you have, and, the greater the marketability that you have. And so, don't stop learning, right? If you learn one particular sphere, you can just continue to just add more and more of these pieces, which will make you even more marketable to employers in that marketplace. Now, for young people that are thinking about what they want to do, it's important, there's this notion, just backing up, of thinking about, what do you want to do with your life, and the psychological concept of self-authoring, and really taking control of your story, and your narrative. And so you need to think about, do I want to be an employee all my life? Do I want to, move into management? Do I want to become a business owner? And so your actions and your behaviors and your learning should match those desires that you have. And that way you can kind of keep yourself on that career trajectory path that you've set out for yourself.
Awesome.
When I'm talking with students, I always bring up Pinocchio, and it's like weird. Like, what's your favorite Disney movie? I'll tell you mine. It's Pinocchio. And it's weird. It's like the strangest Disney movie there is. It's like a fever dream, but like, there's so much wisdom that's built into this. You start with Pinocchio, and what does Pinocchio want? He wants to be a real boy. But he has no idea, what that means. And so, then he's visited by the blue fairy, and the blue fairy says, well, you got to set your sight on high. So you have to start by aiming up. And then you have, when you aim up, the stars are arrayed before you and all of those opportunities are there, but you got to begin to narrow your focus. You begin to narrow your focus. And then when you do narrow your focus, at that point, all of the opportunities and the obstacles that exist in your path will come into focus. And then you can start to make decisions and navigate your way in that direction. But wherever you get to, like the old saying goes, you aim for the stars, you might end up, the moon, over the
Mhm.
moon. But so you're definitely headed the right direction with your career path.
Awesome. I think my heart has been leaning towards those people I see at the department stores and the
Yeah,
car washes and the fast food chains, and
mine
those you
too.
could matriculate through there, of course.
Yeah,
But when they post competitive pay and it's minimum wage, and it's like, come on,
yeah,
what can the survival rate on these? I mean, there are a lot of times they're working exponential hours, having to do more than one job. And my
yeah.
thought is how they can go into a career path, not have a bunch of debt, but then could learn something that they could use for the rest of their lives that's always in demand. So,
Absolutely. And obviously you already cited, and just from what you mentioned in terms of your own career path and your education path, you have opened up multiple pathways of potential streams of income. This is, foundational within, the trades, right? You have this fundamental sort of foundational value, but you can continue to grow in different areas and expand that, and it'll just make you more marketable as you go.
so, with those different entry level positions, a lot of people are having to sometimes raise their whole family on.
Yep.
That's what makes this industry so attractive to me is the potential for growth. Can you
Yeah.
tell me what is even with the earn and learn, what the entry level kind of income could possibly expect to get?
Yeah. Well, it's going to range widely from, when you're talking about 44 different potential career paths. So, you're examining the opportunity. And that's why, the Career Explorer module is so valuable, because you can jump in there and you can see what sort of compensation you can expect if you go down that pathway. But
Mm,
for example, I will cite, so plumbing, electrical, HVAC have been elevated as career paths that should have, a really strong future for the foreseeable future. So there's this gentleman who's a former CEO of Google. His name is Eric Schmidt, and he's been interviewed and talking about AI. And he mentioned that with all of the planned development for data centers across the United States, there is there's going to be a need for over 92 gigawatts, additional gigawatts of power required to power all of these data centers. That, like, if you think back when we were young, we saw, Back to the Future, it was like 1.21 gigawatts was unimaginable, right?
mhm,
You're talking about, like, if an average nuclear power plant produces about 1.5 gigawatts, you're talking about 60 more nuclear power plants and infrastructure that will need to be built along with the data centers in order to achieve these objectives that we have to run this future that we've devised for ourselves.
mm,
That is unbelievable. It's unfathomable. Like,
yeah,
how the people that are in HVAC, that are in cooling, that are
mhm.
in plumbing, right, that, that are in electrical, these areas are going to be in deep need for the next 50 years. And so that means job security. It
Yeah.
means compensation, growth. So these will be highly compensated roles. I've heard somebody, say that they'll be like the Michael Jordans of the time.
Wow.
That may be an exaggeration, but I will tell you this. I was in I was meeting with a trainer at a technical training school in Nashville. I was opening new markets last year, and he told me that he's had three doctors that have shut down their practices and have come and have taken the HVAC course
Wow.
because of the opportunity for growth that exists within that space.
Wow.
So that tells you something about the opportunity that exists. This is about opportunity. A lot of people are going to tell folks that you can definitely make a certain amount of money, or this or that. What is opportunity? We talk about being honest with people. You know, we have to be radically honest with people. We have to let them know. Now there can be candor, and it can be graceful. But you have to let them know that what this is, it's not a birthright, it's not a guarantee, it's an opportunity. What is that opportunity? It's a set of favorable circumstances that is out there, that exists, that you can take advantage of. But
Mm-hmm.
what does that require?
Yeah.
It requires skills, it requires effort, it requires resources, it requires commitment, and it requires sacrifice. It will very well require some degree of sacrifice. And that's a tough conversation for people. You think about, what is involved in that. You're talking about making a sacrifice of the present,
Mm-hmm.
some degree, whether that's your time or your resources, for a better future self. And so I encourage people to have those conversations. And back to that self-authoring topic, like you need to I encourage people to have a journal and sort of write down and sort of think about what is it that they want, what is it that they're trying to achieve, commit to those things personally, because it will help you to navigate that willingness to do the sacrifice.
Awesome. One of the big pillars of the Commercial Builders Network is how do we really build trust in the community?
Yeah.
And so you guys have both ends. You have the people that are coming to you for opportunity for workforce as the actual potential employee, but then you also have the other side as the employers and them entrusting you to give them quality people
Yeah.
for their business. How do you build trust on both ends?
Yeah. So for the students or for the young people, it's helping them understand what is required of them to succeed in that profession. And so part of it is, so we'll do a series of soft skill trainings with our educators, and we'll come in and we'll talk with the students about, things like teamwork, and their focus and commitment on learning. And then we'll help them with their presentation skills and their interview skills, and help them to be able to navigate that selection process, so that once they can get themselves in the door. Now once they get there, you have to do the business, right? You have to interact well with your colleagues. You have to perform on a daily basis, be consistent, right? You have to be competent. You know,
Hmm.
competence competence can overcome a lot of things.
Yeah.
If you're really really good at something, but you still have to have all of that to really succeed long term. And then it's not just about that employer that you've just landed with. It's about thinking long term. It's about how do I leave well?
Hmm.
With this employer, a lot of young people haven't really been coached about what are the expectations around, how do you depart an organization
Yeah.
professionally and in a way that will retain your relationship so you don't burn that bridge.
Yeah. Because you may need to come back to that one, especially in the future.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And these are all people that are part of your network. You're constantly in a growth phase in terms of growing that network of professionals around you, that you can draw from.
Absolutely. And then building trust with the employers, the
Yeah.
companies.
So building trust on the employer side, that comes down to being a valued resource for them in the way that they need you, and so that can vary widely depending upon the employers that we're working with. Some of the employers that we're working with are they're they're well established large companies. They may have a fully functioning HR department. They may have an applicant tracking system with a recruiter in place. And so the way that we're helping them is taking a portion of their work off of their table, and saying, hey, we will screen, we will present these candidates to you, so that you can focus on your other recruitment efforts, your other things that are important to you. For a business owner, if they're having to take time out of the day to go and screen through 50, 100 candidates, they're not executing their business. And
Absolutely.
it's a huge tax on them, when they have to go through that. If you're in a growth phase and you're doing it pretty consistently, how do you manage that? So, we can be a resource to them by, really taking that whole piece and taking that off their plate and helping them to focus on executing their business.
If you were to come across a young person, or right now, which seems to be really critical now, is a pivot, a person that's in the middle of a pivot career wise, and they don't know which direction to go in, why would you say they should come into construction?
First, I would ask them to pause and really think about that vision of what they want to achieve. What is it that you want in your life with your personal relationships, with your family? Are you a person, do you know yourself? Are you a person that likes to work under fluorescent lights? Are you a person that likes to knock out, documents and analyze things? Are you a knowledge, based worker, or are you somebody that could thrive in an environment that's hands-on, that's more physical, that's very interactive, that's problem solving? And if you think that's the case, then the opportunities are unlimited within the skilled trade space. And so I would invite you, if you've made that reached that conclusion, to come and join us, and we will help you figure out what opportunities are there that might fit with your aptitude, your interests, and then align to your long-term goals.
Awesome. Do you have an ask? Like any organized community organizations, schools, or anything, any workforce partners that you guys would like to partner with?
Yeah, all of it. So, in the case that, we are a utility trying to connect everybody up, we want to engage. If you're a high school that is interested in expanding the opportunities to your student base, if you're one that has a construction program, absolutely. We would love to engage with you. We'd love to be able to come out and present the pathways and the opportunities in the skilled trades and residential construction to your students and give them a resource to be able to learn more about those paths. If you are an educator in a skilled trade, one of the secret sauce pieces of our organization is that we'll put the educators on our platform. So if you're looking for access to more interested students and you want to grow, we need to grow, and we can help you get more of those students into that funnel. Then we want you on that JobsToBuild platform. Reach out to me, and we can certainly do that. Get you on there, and then not only will you have access to the system and to the interest of those individuals, but it'll also grant you the opportunity to have a whole bunch of reporting tools and data related to your graduates, where they're applying and where they're getting hired. And for nonprofit organizations, obviously that can be a boon, because then you can show the efficacy of your program, and that will help you in terms of getting more grant funding.
Alright, and tell me, how much is this platform, Jobs to Build?
So the investment was millions, but it is free. This was an investment made by our institutional donors, by the leading builders of America. But JobsToBuild is 100% free, at no cost to you. You can join the platform, and like I said, for employers, post as many jobs as you like. Use it to build a reliable pipeline of talent for your organization. Use it to build your talent brand amongst young people that are entering the trades. And then you can search the database, unlimited access to those candidates that are on there in terms of outreach. If you've got a project that's just hit and you need to move fast, we can assist you with that. So we would encourage every one of you to come on, help us figure this out, help us create a sustainable workforce by 2030.
Aside from the app, how can they contact you for more opportunities?
So certainly you can find the best way to contact the folks for JobsToBuild is through www.jobstobuild.com. However, I am a resource for folks, and I will certainly offer myself. I can be a conduit to help you get to the right area of the organization. So you can reach out to me. My email address is jason.walker@buildingtf.org, and my number is 762-334-3463.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason, for your time. It's been awesome.
Tanisha, thank you so much for including me. I'm just very excited to be able to be on your program here and get the word out. And thank you so much for having us.
Awesome.